Welcome to Worship Tutorials. Today is patch release day. This is a Friedman BE-100. If you've ever wanted like a Plexi but thought needed to be a little more modern, I don't know, you should just get the amp. But we got patches for it.
So this is the Friedman BE-100 Deluxe in my lap, Bradford, because I thought this would be a good idea.
Does this add anything? You wanted both of us to hold it.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about the amp.
Is this helping?
Bradford was like, no, you're holding it.
I don't want to hold that thing.
Let me tell you a little bit about the amp. First of all, it's heavy.
Which is why you should just get the patch, because that's not heavy.
Yeah. So the Friedman BE-100 Deluxe is a 3-channel Marshall-esque amplifier. So the 3 channels are clean, and then the BE channel, and then the HBE channel. You can look up what those things stand for. I'm not going to repeat it in this video. Okay, the clean channel is like a Marshall, vintage Marshall clean. Now, if you only think of Marshall tones as far as crunch tones or rock tones, you're missing out on a world of beautiful cleans.
Yeah, they're very nice.
You know, Bradford mentioned this is like a modern take on a Marshall. It is, but it's sort of inspired by vintage Marshall tones. You can actually get a lot out of it.
The actual amp has a lot of switches, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the front panel that you can see.
Insane.
But on the back, there's the clean fat switch. There's the dirt fat switch. So each of the clean and the dirt channels, you can have a fat switch on. There's the C45 channel, which changes the way the gain responds. There's a gain structure switch, which changes the way the gain responds. There's a saturation switch. And then there's, all the switches on the front. There's like different bright switches and everything. We've gone to the trouble of like dialing them into our preferences.
Yeah, the best sounds we think this amp makes.
Yeah, so the clean channel, beautiful, really nice, lush cleans. I mean, Marshalls are sort of derivatives of Fenders.
They are.
Traditionally.
There's an interesting history behind that.
Right, but the BE channel is basically like your 100-watt Plexi.
Well, it's the Brown sound.
Yeah, it's kind of like, we have the Super 100.
Yeah.
It sounds very similar, actually, because we captured this through the oversized Marshall Super 100 cab with the G12C speakers, the greenback type speakers.
We also have those, just the IRs. That
Yeah,
cab is magic.
that.
So if you want those IRs, just to try those speakers, those are on the website too.
Yeah, so the BE channel goes from like, you can get it sort of clean, especially if you back the volume off on your guitar, to like big time Marshall crunch. And then the HBE channel is just more gain. So you've got 3 levels of gain, and this thing will do everything from like really pristine, lush, clean tone all the way up to just big time lead, classic rock. And you can make it sound like a vintage Marshall, but you can also make it sound like sort of a hot rodded Marshall with all of the the voicing switches and everything. So when we captured this, like I said, we captured it through the Marshall 1982 B cab, or is it the A cab? Whichever the oversized one is. Not the slant cab that's behind me, the bigger one that's in the room where we capture the amps. Captured it with a Royer 121 and an Earthworks SR25 through the Neve 1073 with a bit of EQ to taste, and it's pretty awesome tone. We had a lot of fun demoing this amp, which you just heard. Yeah. We asked Sean to come in. By the way, if you don't know Sean, he for a decade or more toured with Era, and professional modern rock guitarist. Yeah. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude and an awesome guitar player. Yeah.
So if you're familiar with how we do our products, if you do something like TONEX or even Quad Cortex, even though it's also an all-in-one, or Kemper, you're going to get like all the captures of the amp from rather clean, depending on whatever, up to as dirty as this thing gets.
It was loud.
It was. I'm sure. Yeah.
The walls were shaking. The earth was quaking. My heart was racing.
So
we were making captures all night long. Sorry.
on those units, you get the various captures, and that's how you're going to be able to taste the amp, as it were. There's some other ones with like the C45 switch example, or the fat and the bright switch, that kind of stuff. So you can just try how the amp is altogether. Yeah. If you have something like, and actually, Quad Cortex falls into both camps. I don't know why it just now like crossed my mind that it's both.
Presets.
The preset version, so that's going to be like the Fractal stuff, the Line 6 stuff, and also Quad Cortex. The way we set up the patch is 1 amp basically, well 2 amps, but all effects are stereo after. Yeah. And that's because a high gain amp is not going to sound great. Like you don't want to be using the lead channel of this amp with like reverb and delay.
With a huge reverb
it's not going to
in
do
front of it.
anything. This people who use these amps for real are going to most likely be implementing the effects loop so they can run wet effects after. So that's kind of what we're doing in a way.
And the list of like famous rock star guitar players who use the Friedman BE-100 is long.
Side note,
Like this amp is legit.
Yes. So you get those, and so the way we had to do it, you can't really. That's the one downside to like the Helix and the Fractal, the channel switching of the amps. It's just not quite the same as it's just not as easy as we would hope it to be. So
you have to switch amp blocks or channels in the Fractal thing.
Yeah, and it just is not as fluid as it is switching an actual amp. But what you get are there's basically like 4 bass dirt amp sounds. And what I mean by that is there's like a clean push, so you get it a little dirtier. Then we use the other amp to get it to be like your second channel.
That's the BE channel.
The BE channel. We would love to be able to put a third, we'd have to use a third amp in order to get the lead. Yeah, so instead of that, we just pushed it with some dirt, or push it with the boost kind of thing. So it does feel like it's very similar. Very similar. I do think something like that, though, adding more gain it's not as impressive feeling like in a digital modeler as it is with the actual amp. So, the experience is still there.
It's something.
It's still there. Like there's this really nice, tight drive sound that just feels so good under your fingers. So those presets, we spent a lot just describing 4 sounds. You're going to get some that's like an ambient thing. There's like a rock lead, which is a little drier. There's a ambient lead is what we call it, which is kind of more in the vein of like what we typically do for P-dub lead. So still get in some modulation snaps scenes. You still get like the same kind of approach that we do normally. It's just for the snaps are just utilizing different levels of gain, whereas before it's normally drive pedals doing it.
Yes.
So, you get everything. Like, if you don't want to use the lead sound, don't use it. But like everything else, you could totally still use on a Sunday morning and still feel like you're actually getting the experience.
You should use the lead sound on Sunday morning.
It sounds awesome.
When we were demoing this earlier this morning, pre-barbecue, we just got back from eating some barbecue. We're in Birmingham. You got to do it. We were demoing it, and Bradford and I were talking to each other like how the clean tone is very Fender-like.
It is.
On this, but the driven tones are so different than like what you would get with a Vox or like a matchless C30 type of an amplifier.
Yeah.
And they're very satisfying to play. Like they feel really good and they just have a different sound.
Yeah.
So if you're like in that camp that's like we love playing Vox matchless style, but I want to experience something a little different. Something a little more raw, guttural feeling. I don't know what the words are.
Yeah.
This could be the ticket.
It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
So links for everything are below. Thank you to Sean for helping us demo this thing, playing some just awesome guitar stuff.
He's a great dude.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
Please subscribe if you
Thank
haven't
you for holding that
already.
amp, Brian.
You're welcome.
Really
I'm ready to put it
added
down.
to the video. No, I was actually wanting to talk a little bit more about this amp for about another 10, 15 minutes while you hold that. You have to commit. You started this thing.
Okay, I'm here. I'm here for it. Please, let's end the video. Thank you for watching. Links
See you
below.
next time.
Bye.
Bye.